All right, we're all here. So 6:31 call to order. Good evening, everyone. And again, thank you for being here. This is a meeting or a gathering, a meeting of the COA board. We do have a quorum, although I don't anticipate a voting issue right now. Um, that we are coming together because of the circumstances around food stamps, SNAP benefits being, oh, look at him. He looks like a little boy. Because of the SNAP benefits being curtailed.
No.
Um,
Hi,
Hello.
sweetheart.
Wow, he's so big, Julie. He's so big. How old is he? I'm sorry, Rich. Have you met Julie's son?
This is Cameron. He's gonna be 3 in January.
Oh my
Wow.
goodness.
Can you
Yeah.
say hi?
Hello there. Hello there. Good
Nice
evening.
to see you.
You'll be nice and quiet, he says. All right, we're gonna go
Okay.
back on mute.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Because of snapping benefits being curtailed and Carol, without warning here, I'm gonna let you sort of introduce the
Sure.
discussion that we want to have.
Sure. So, oops, sorry, I'm having some camera issues, but so I was thinking about this being a crisis and that it would be great if we could have some response as the Council on Aging for the particular needs of seniors. I saw the communication that came out from the town, and appropriately it mentioned, if you have children, here's what you can do, and here's what other people can do. But it was lacking in what seniors could do specifically. And, from the research that I did, minimal, there looks like there's about 300 senior families or people in Wakefield who use SNAP benefits. And as everyone knows, seniors find it really, really hard to access help, particularly things like going to a food pantry or asking for anything in general. This is in general. Often because people don't want to be seen as lacking their independence, or they've worked their whole lives and now I can't believe I can't put food on the table. And I see this as really a crisis emerging for people who may have to make very difficult choices, like, do I buy my medicine or do I buy food? And then layered into it is the issue of the cutbacks in the heating assistance program. And this may end tomorrow, the shutdown. I doubt it, but it might. But I think it would be great for us as a advisory body, if you will, to have something in place that maybe we could do to help. I'm not thinking about boiling the ocean. I'm really thinking about, is there anything that we can do that could make it easy for people to donate to help support people who might need things? And Karen, I'm sure you and Beth are aware of people who may be facing this, as well as other seniors in town who don't use the senior center. So in the short term, I was thinking, is there anything we can do, a sort of wish list where we match people with what they need with donors, et cetera, et cetera. And longer term, I was thinking about that our Council on Aging, unlike many others around, and even the new town administrator talked about this with us, have a Friends of the Senior Center or Friends of a Council on Aging, where there's a fundraising arm. So there's money for things that might come up like this, or for equipment, and whenever they do all kinds of things like have events or run a thrift shop or whatever. So that's long term, and I don't think we should take the time tonight to talk about long term, but just wondering if anyone had any ideas or any thoughts about how to make it easy for people who want to give and give locally, and for how to match that giving with people in need. Long way around to say that very question.
Thanks, Carol. Can I just ask a clarifying question? Wakefield currently does not have a Friends of.
Correct. As
Okay.
far as I know, right?
No, we don't. We don't.
We don't.
We don't have a Friends, no.
We don't. And when we met with Denise Casey, the new town administrator, she was talking about the Friends in North Andover, where she came from. I know that several of the
Reading has
Reading
one,
has
Melrose
it,
has one, Stoneham has one,
Melrose,
yeah,
Linfield has one,
yeah.
and they do all kinds of things. And often it's a small group just dedicated to fundraising, but that's not going to happen in time for us to help people. But in my sort of dream world, we would come up with an idea of how we could help some people now, and out of that might come the seeds of a Friends of the Senior Center group. So, did that answer your question?
I would
Yes.
just add to that, that we are not looking to make any additional work, much work anyway, any additional work for Karen and her staff.
Right, of
That
course.
this is a, you know, if we do something or whatever we might do, of course, there'd have to be intersection and quote unquote permission or cooperation from the staff, but we're not trying to think about things that are gonna make more work, for you and your team, Karen. So, you know, um, that's always a concern because you're doing so many things already. But this would be sort of outside of that, which is the way also friends groups tend to operate in collaboration and cooperation with the staff of a senior center, but also outside of putting additional work on your plate, on the plate of the staff. And there are a lot of volunteers that work, and there may be some people, like Carol said, no long-term volunteers, who might be interested in joining some kind of an effort to start a friends group. I would imagine there might be, besides us, besides, you know, whoever on this board might be interested. So, do you talk a little bit about like, one of the things that I think Carol and I have both read an article about grocery buddies as an example. As of several locales have instituted some kind of a, what they call grocery buddies or some facsimile of that, where people who are in need of some kind of assistance create like a wish list or a list, and then somebody, a volunteer who maybe, you know, can spend an extra $50 at that week, takes that wish list and goes to Market Basket and buys whatever, and then delivers it to that person. My sister, I'm just going to tell you this story because it broke my heart. My sister, who lives in Western Mass, she has a special needs child who's 25, but this special needs child has a volunteer that comes in every week and reads with him, reads with her child. And he's an older man, lives with his older wife, and they don't have any food stamps as of now. And he was over her house the other day reading, and said to my sister that, you know, he was upset because of the SNAP situation, and he and his wife, and they didn't have money, and he wasn't asking for anything, he was just expressing. And she happened to know of a food pantry that was happening that day. And she said to him, Tom, you know, I can take you over to the food pantry at such and such a place in some church in her town. And he started to cry. He started to cry. And he said, I can't do that, Paul. My sister's name's Paul. I can't do that. And she was stunned, but she said, why? And she said, because I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed. And it was just, you know, it just was so sad to hear somebody speaking like that. And I think that it's true of a lot of people too. Yeah, Sherry, go.
I was thinking along those lines, for people who are hesitant, ashamed to go on their own,
Yeah.
maybe we can somehow work with the youth council to have them pick up things for seniors and bring it to them.
From the pantry you're talking about, or from a
Yes,
food
yes,
distribution? Would that be
yes.
allowed? Do you know, like if somebody went to the food pantry on behalf of another person, would they serve them? You know what I'm saying? Like if I went, if a youth or somebody, a volunteer went, I'm here and I'm shopping for so-and-so who is an EBT recipient or not, who needs food, but either isn't able physically or isn't able to come here.
Yes, I
Would you
believe they
know?
have proxy forms you can use because I know I have people that have caseworkers who are able to go to the food pantry for them twice a
What kind
month.
of forms, Karen?
Proxy.
I think
Oh,
you have to have a proxy, like
proxy.
the same
Okay,
way with the
proxy.
farmer's market. It'd be paperwork they would have to fill out.
Okay.
Yeah, I like the idea of the youth council, but Karen, I'm wondering, what are you hearing and seeing, or you
Yeah.
and Beth?
We're not hearing a ton, so I know the release didn't say Beth specifically to contact, but I felt okay with that because Sandra is actually in the food pantry, so she has a little bit easier access to people who may need services, and she would know to refer them to us to help with other things. I
Who
met
was
with the
that that
food
you're talking about?
pantry.
Karen, I'm
sorry, go
sorry,
ahead, Susan.
who are you talking about? I don't know who you're talking about.
She
Sandra?
was in the press release. She's the social services
Of the new person,
worker
She
okay.
at
was
the-
Yeah,
listed on the,
Yeah,
Yeah.
so she does
Okay.
office hours at the food pantry. So I wasn't as worried that they didn't have us on there because she can at least refer people to us. If they put a new one out, I'll make sure they add us in there. But we do have our food pantry downstairs. I've met with the food pantry already to see if they can stock us twice if needed, because ours is very much, you can come in, you can get what you need and you go. We don't take names. Ours is a way you can supplement the 2 times a month. You can go to the main food pantry. So for those things, we feel like we can meet the needs internally. I do have a small amount of Market Basket gift cards that had been donated to us by a senior in the past year that we have available if somebody came to us. We haven't advertised it publicly because we don't have enough to be able to do that. But if somebody came and was in need because they've lost their SNAP benefits, that's a supplemental thing that we can do as well. But we haven't heard directly from people, but again, I don't know, maybe people who don't feel comfortable coming to talk to us, but our food pantry is super low key and easy to use, and it gets depleted pretty much every week. So they're on standby, and they're also going to bring us a couple of extra bags of food. So when it gets empty, I can fill it without necessarily having to wait for them to come. And I also talked to them about putting out, to make the box tonight or tomorrow morning, our own donation bin, so we can replenish our pantry right from our own donation bin. I went to the big discussion that the lieutenant governor was at. She kicked it off, and they talked about how the states are going to respond with the loss of SNAP benefits. And the big message, of course, is local, local, local. So I think
Was there any discussion specifically about seniors in that presentation or that meeting with her?
No, I think it's all the same, right? Here's the resources. We have community dinners, the food pantries. It's just making sure that people have knowledge of all of those things and make it as easy for people to do as we can. Like, we could give people rides to the food pantry if they need rides to the food pantry. We're still doing Market Basket runs. But we haven't heard anything specifically. We do have people still coming in and actively applying for Leo. And the big message we're trying to get out is you still have to reapply for SNAP. You could apply for SNAP. Like, all those things are still happening during the shutdown. So we don't want somebody to not apply for SNAP, not recertify their SNAP because it's the government shutdown, and then lose their benefit when the government reopens. So we're just trying to get all that messaging out, and then be there if people have questions, and put out as much information as we can about, here are the community dinners, here's all the different resources that are available to you.
But do you know if they're taking new applications for SNAP at
Yeah.
this point? They are taking new, okay.
Yeah, fuel assistance is taking applications. Everybody is taking applications and operating as normal. Unfortunately, things aren't getting paid, but as soon as the opens and the funds can start flowing, there'll be some delay to get caught up, but
Yeah.
we're still
And the
taking them.
SNAP isn't retroactive, is it? People aren't going to get what they missed?
It's supposed to be retroactive.
Oh, it is. So
Mhm.
people are supposed to be getting like
Yeah.
October's money or whatever.
And they said there'd be a small delay, so the SNAP payments go out based on the last digits of your social security number. So if you normally got paid on the 1st, then depending on when it opens, they would start the payment process again. So not everybody's going to get paid boom on the same day, but it would naturally
But
flow
aren't they,
into.
they're talking about, I heard or read, it was half benefits, basically 50% this month, November.
Well, that's for
October was-
November with the emergency funds, yeah.
Yeah, October was paid, but November would be half or approximately half. Is that do you think that's accurate?
The judges had not, that happened after the meeting. But from what I've heard on the news, that is what it will be, is half payments for November. But once the government reopens and they're using the normal allocated SNAP funds, then it would be retroactively paid.
So a couple of things. I'm thinking about, the food pantry at the senior center is great, but it doesn't have we don't have a freezer, right? So we don't have chicken or beef or protein other than beans or those kind of things, right? No fresh produce for
No,
people.
for those things, we send them back to the food
The
pantry.
food pantry, right?
We
And
praise
then-
the food pantry all the time. Wakefield has an amazing food pantry, better than any
Yeah.
of the ones in the surrounding communities, in my opinion. So we constantly are sending people and telling them, it's not what you think. Go in and see. It's shopping. Like, we are constantly referring people over to the pantry, and people go and then they're happy once they get there. It's just getting them in the door.
It's just getting them there. So some of, I don't know, I always think about the people who aren't already using the services. And I've been reading in my mental health things that I'm on about what they're starting to see in the emergency room, because people aren't eating and they're stressed and they're not taking their medicine. And so I'm thinking of those 300 seniors who are getting SNAP benefits in Wakefield. We're probably not seeing 300 of them.
Yeah.
Maybe we're seeing 100. What would you guess?
Honestly, I have no idea.
Yeah. So I'm thinking about, is there any little thing we could do to reach other people that would make it easy for them, or anything we could do that would make it easy for people to donate who want to donate? I mean, I've donated, but not, well, no, that's not true. We donated to the food pantry, but it's, the guidance is really to donate to the United Way or donate to the Greater Boston Food Bank, which is fine. But I'm thinking about our seniors as part of the board. So I don't know. I don't have any great ideas. I just have great worries.
Is the Karen, the donation box that will go, or two boxes, one that will go in the senior center? Am I understand that correctly? You're going to put a box out, or a couple of boxes out. How will people be? Is there any publicity that's going to go on about that, Janet, specifically?
We could put it out on our own social media. I'm trying to stick with the town's communication for the food resources. Because, for example, if somebody brings in a box of Chips Ahoy, I'm going to bring it to the food pantry versus putting it here. So we'll divvy out what kind of stuff we normally have. But I'm trying to stay with that same town-wide communication plan. So I can ask them to add that we're going to now be a donation location as well.
That's a great idea.
I don't want to go off on my own, because the town has a nice plan put together. So I'm trying to be respectful of that and stay within that. But I will make sure I let them know to add that we are now a donation location as well. Interestingly, from the governor's meeting, or the lieutenant governor's meeting, they did talk about there's a lot of value added in cash donations or financial donations instead of actual canned goods, because they can take that money and have more purchasing power to buy in bulk. So if people want to make a monetary donation, it helps them to make it go further. But any kind of donation, of course, is accepted. I also talked to the pantry about working with different organizations to set up potentially food drives at Shaw's. I know I'm on the Veterans Advisory Board in Melrose, and we do food drives twice a year at Shaw's, and they're very successful. So it might be something that some organization could put together. Takes a lot of manning because we're there all day. I don't know if the scouts might be willing to. So they were going to reach out to the scouts to help fill the local pantries.
Where does that food go for distribution when you do them in Melrose? Like, who distributes?
Between two different pantries.
So it goes to the pantries, okay.
And doesn't the high school band do one for Wakefield? They do a big, huge one for Wakefield Food Pantry, because Randy used to be a volunteer at the food pantry. Rich,
Marching band does a big drive every year, yeah.
yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
But
Yeah, so maybe somebody
that
can
already
do one.
happened.
What's that?
That already happened earlier.
Kind of circle back. So, because we're talking about we're talking about a lot of things, which is great, but circle back to those people that don't go to the food pantry, or don't come into the senior center, or don't come, don't access whatever, go to the community meals. We don't know for sure that there's a need, but based on, Carol, what you said, we can suspect strongly that there probably is a need, or some kind of gap, that's there. And just, maybe just anybody have any thoughts or ideas or anything about how we might reach that group to Rich, go.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, one thing, I know there's been like with age span where I work in Merrimack Valley and North Shore, we certainly are seeing an increase in applications for Meals on Wheels and things like that. I would, if you haven't, you could talk to Mystic Valley. They obviously know the people that they're serving. And sometimes what we do in our program is we might give the drivers in a specific city or town information to hand out to their consumers.
Uh,
So that might be one of the
That's a good
ways, is
idea.
if you have homebound people, you could ask whoever runs the Meals on Wheels program for Mystic Valley, if you wanted a specific flyer or message to get to people specifically in Wakefield, and you provided it to them, they could give it to the drivers in any specific town if you wanted to.
That's a great idea.
Thanks, Richie. I'll reach out to them and see if they can put our handout that the town made in with the local deliveries.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they would ever share who those people are, if that was helpful for us to know. I mean, obviously there might be a confidentiality issue there, but at the minimum, they might be able to on a specific, they all have specific routes, that they do in
Right,
certain
right,
towns. So
right,
they
right.
might be able to get something to the drivers. If you want to make sure that they get the list of resources or places to go or whatever it might be. But that would be a good route to go.
Sherry, yeah, good.
I like that idea because I think we have to consider that even though the town has a communication plan, I think some of the seniors that are receiving benefits may not be tied in to social media at all, may not. Is there any way we can link into the phone system of the town? I mean, they have an emergency phone system too.
Right,
Because I think it's more likely we might reach some people that way
It was in the
than
newspaper
than
tonight too.
what's that?
It was
Sorry.
in the item tonight too.
Oh, okay. But for those who are that more isolated, maybe the phone is the only thing that they really use as a contact.
yep, yep.
I can ask Jen if it can be something they send out on the emergency alert.
I mean, and the item, with all due respect to the item, it's a valuable resource for the town, but it's expensive. I think it's expensive
it
and
is.
yeah. So people that might be, might not be reading it, able to read it because they can't afford to get it. So I
I know,
like
we're
it.
just trying to do all avenues to figure out how you can reach people.
right,
Oh,
exactly.
I know. There's no magic bullet. I know that. Um,
I don't think that we're getting close to an emergency, I think, where people won't have enough money for food. And those people who don't go to the food pantry or don't come to the senior center, it's just really concerning. And I'm concerned about all of it, about them making choices about do I pay my copay or do I heat my house? And it's just really frightening. And I don't want to overreact, but food is so essential, and it seems like something we as the seniors advisory board should be helping this group of 300 people as intensely as we can.
Perhaps also we can utilize the pharmacies at Walgreens and CVS to hand out information.
I don't know if they will. Walgreens.
the other places, Rich, you wanted to say something too?
Yeah, I was gonna say, Karen, if you're reaching out to Mystic Valley, the other routes are, they contract with providers that are providing other home care services and things like that. So it might be more than just drivers delivering Meals on Wheels. They have other providers that are providing home care services to people. So they have they're probably reaching X number of older adults in Wakefield, and those are people that are going in the home directly. I mean, that's probably one of the most direct routes you can go to reach, people that are definitely, of lower income.
Yeah, good.
And there's
Yeah.
more than just home care, there's a variety of other services. So
Right,
they're
right.
probably one of the best ones to check with and see what can be done specifically for the people that they're serving in Wakefield.
Yeah,
Karen,
I'm gonna reach out to them.
how many folks are currently getting the newsletter via email? Like, is your email list, do you think it's robust? How many people do you think you have email addresses for that regularly visit?
They all probably got the email already. I don't have the number off the top of my head
Oh, okay, okay.
of how many we're sending it to.
So the
We're not
town's
mailing that
notice
many anymore.
did go out into email. Is that what you're saying?
Mhm.
Oh, okay. All right, never mind. Scratch that.
Yeah, no,
No, it's a good thought. It's definitely a good thought. Um, and I mean, I don't, maybe you asked this, Julie, in there, but the email and the ones, how many are still being mailed? You know, which may or may not be overlap. People may get an email and a paper copy, but you know, like somebody said a few minutes ago, when I do my shine counseling, it's amazing to me how many people do not have emails. They just don't. They don't have a computer. They don't use email. They don't know how to use it. Oh, I have to. My daughter, you know, so they want paper. They want to do stuff by mail with us with Shine. Um, so there's a lot of people that don't. You know, that just don't. But I'm hearing again, just Karen, this part of this is not to put extra work on you. I mean, some of these suggestions are great, especially the Mystic Valley and thinking about, you know, pharmacies. I'm thinking about faith communities actually too, you know, the clergy. Does Wakefield have like an ecumenical council of some sort? Does anybody know?
There's a clergy council. They're not very active.
They're not
I
active,
don't know
okay.
who their, the person, the clergyman who was their leader. I have the name of the fellow who is the contact person, or at least was last year. But every time when I was on the Human Rights Commission, when I was trying to arrange things with them, it was very difficult because they said they were overwhelmed with their own work.
Yeah, I'm sure they are.
But
I'm
to
sure they are.
be, but that would be certainly, you would think that would be part of their mission. You know, faith groups' mission is to care for the flock's basic needs, help besides spiritual needs.
You know, in the past, in jobs that I've had where we were recruiting for seniors, you could get some of the churches and temples to put something in their bulletin or whatever they call it. You know, when people come to services or they have a newsletter, that might, and I'd be willing to write like a little press release or type of thing to send out. If that's, so, you know, if that, I don't want to get anybody angry because we're doing our own communication, but do you think that would be possible, Karen, for us to have some outreach directly to some organizations, faith communities, other community groups, if we did that, took that on as a board?
Are you forwarding the town's communication or are you creating your own communication?
It's creating, well, I guess it would be creating, could be creating. I'd have to see what the town, you know, I mean, we're specifically right now, I think, talking about the food pantry, our food pantry at the senior center, and inviting people to use it, inviting people to donate, and reminding people of the other food pantry, I guess, is that kind of, yeah, so it would be an invitation really from the COA board. Again, not to, you know, take away from your work, but not to put more work on you either. And to
I would have
help
to
get,
ask honestly, because I think the town did a pretty nice job summarizing all of those things. So I think it would just be a matter of potentially sharing some of that if we're not adding anything new to what was sent out.
well, I'm thinking about it kind of like I would imagine that the schools have sent out special things to parents and families about children, right?
They
So
did, and the
this
town incorporated that in there. So the
in
town
there,
asked for
I
input from
saw
all of
that.
us. I'm
And
not
then
trying to say like town, but I think they're trying to be very cognizant of not having different stovepipes of information going out to different groups of
absolutely,
people.
no, and I think it's great because people get saturated and then they don't read anything. So I think it's great to have one central place. I agree with you on that. It's just, can we get something to the town that talks about, you know, as you said, other people have said, our food pantry, and also how to give, that people are welcome to drop off there, or if they want to make cash donations specifically for the senior pantry, that they can do that or something like that. That's all. No, I agree, Karen. I don't think we should do more than what we're doing.
Yeah. The
Erin,
town,
The pantry fills our pantry.
Right.
So I don't know how I feel about having it be specifically to fill just for Seniors, I would have to check and see how they want it. I mean, ours is the actual food donations. We're going to resupply ours. If it was
Mhm.
monetary donations, I would have to check in with the pantry to see how they would want to handle it if somebody was wanting to make a donation just for the senior pantry itself. I'm sure they could support that. I would just have to talk to them about that.
But
Yeah.
I have a strong, I feel like hunger is universal. So I don't always like to, and I know my job is council on aging, but I feel like supporting the pantry who supports us supports our population. But it's totally, I'm happy to ask whatever questions you guys want me to put forward to the pantry or connect one of you with the pantry to talk to them too.
we backtrack just a moment.
Sorry,
The town has an official council on aging. It's listed with councils on the website. So there is some kind of contact information. And if nothing else, maybe the central, whoever the central contact person can be contacted about asking them in their weekly address or homily that the seniors in the town might be in particular need, and we do have services at the pantry. At least make an announcement
well, just
to
back
their
up a little bit
congregations.
to the congregation. Are you back on the
Yeah,
clergy? Yeah, okay.
yeah.
Right. I think what differentiates this particular time and the seniors is how reluctant many seniors are for help. So children are more like, obviously somebody will hopefully get help to children. I just think they're such a vulnerable population. It feels like it's our role to advocate as strongly as we can for them. I'm not a, I'm kind of a major rule follower. It's why one of my sons is an auditor. It's perfect. But sometimes you have to, I feel like this is one of those times where it's important to push to advocate for the seniors, not at the expense of children or someone else, but that's like what our job is. That's how I see our role anyway. So I think we've got it covered. I think we're probably all saying the same thing.
Would there be, what would happen if like somebody came into the senior center who was in their 40s or 30s looking for food? What would the pantry is on the lower level, right?
Yeah, the pantry's open to everyone. If the food pantry gets empty, then they'll restock it for me. So I'm not
Okay.
going to turn somebody away.
So you don't monitor who comes in and takes food from the pantry or at all in any way?
No, I mean, I don't officially monitor and ask for names or ages or anything.
Yeah.
We can see when people are down there, but I would never turn anybody away. If somebody
Yeah,
came and
okay.
needed food, we give them food and then we
Yeah,
restock.
okay. So it's an all ages thing. And back to what Carol just said in terms of, is there a way in cooperation with the town and the messaging the town's putting out, as well as the messaging the senior center's putting out, that we can add to that messaging with a little, a more of a focus on getting the word to seniors? And that, some of the ideas that have come up so far are ways, maybe the two biggest ones I hear is through the clergy, through the churches somehow, the faith communities, and the Mystic Valley end of it would be also that's a pretty, um, and your own drivers too. I don't know, Karen, your own drivers, our own drivers, they might they have probably regular riders that they might be aware of. I don't know if that's even something we could ask them to be a little more alert to.
We talk
That's,
to our riders daily. I talk to my
oh,
riders all the time.
the riders. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Good. Good. Yeah.
But I've
No.
reached out to Mystic Valley already, so I will ask them if they can share the resources, and I will ask if they can add that we are now a donation center for foods.
That's perfect.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. That's good. So just sort of personally for this group right now, donations what do you see as popular items or, popular items in the senior center food pantry? What do people take or what do they look for? What runs out fast? Just,
Now we're coming into colder weather, so we're stocking soups, we're stocking, they don't like to do snacks, so it's your normal shelf stable pasta, sauces, cereals, take home, make an easy meal kind of thing.
yep. Yep. Okay. Okay.
And then we have the resources for where people can access meals. We have, of course, our congregate meal site that 3 days a week, people can come here and eat for a $2 suggested donation and get a nice full meal. So we're promoting that still.
And what kind of
Um,
attendances happen? What would you say is the average attendance in the congregate meals?
Thursday is the biggest day because it's before bingo, but we do have, which is usually 20 people on Thursdays. And then we have 5 to 10, sometimes 12 on the Mondays and Tuesdays. Depends on what's going on afterwards.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
And
actually been a good
anything
way to men
special?
here. The men
Oh,
come in and
sorry.
eat.
Anything special as we approach Thanksgiving?
There's all kinds of community resources out there
Mhm.
for meals that are available. Grab and go sit down and eat. There's really quite a bit. The list is really extensive, in my opinion, of different places people can go for a meal for Thanksgiving. And it doesn't have to be. Again, you're not going to capture the people who don't want to go, and I don't know. I wish I knew a solution for that, but they have. You can pick up a meal. You can sit down and have a community meal. The resource isn't in front of me. I apologize. I'm upstairs because they have a program going on next door, but we have them in the food pantry and we sent them out.
Okay.
Well, I think, just sort of off the top of my head, sometimes the way to reach the people who don't go is how we word whatever we write about, it can be, these aren't the right words, but it can be difficult or different or whatever to go to a congregate meal, but blah, blah, blah. This is why it's such a wonderful thing to do. There's something about acknowledging that it's really hard. I think the story you told, Susan, I've heard that now from a couple of other friends, 3 or 4 different stories about my neighbor over the fence who is too proud when I asked him if he wanted me to take him grocery shopping. So now I'm cooking double meatloaf and double soup and saying, oh, I've got too much. Will you take it? How do we make it easier to reach those people who are hungry? Hard.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a different, that's a different kind. I mean, has anybody ever heard of something called Lasagna Love? Do you know about Lasagna Love?
Mhm.
Lasagna, it's a local, Karen, you're nodding your head. It's a local initiative. I think there's in other cities and towns too. But they push themselves on Facebook a lot. If you want, for no strings attached, no criteria for to be eligible. If you need a meal delivered to your house, there's people like us or people that make a lasagna and
Mhm.
then we'll bring it to your house. Well, don't ask me how they deal with the health issues around that, health department issues or safety issues around food, but I guess they vet their cooks. They must vet their cooks, I hope somehow. But and then there's a couple of restaurants in Stoneham that I know about now who, if you come in with an EBT card between 11:30 and 2 on certain days, or after 8:30 at night, Fusion Taste is one of those, and an EBT card, they'll give you a meal for 3 people to take home. No questions
Wow.
asked, no registration, as long as the shutdown continues. At least that's the plan. And the lunch one is Pizza Mia, which is on Franklin Street in Stoneham. And there may be some things like that have started in Wakefield. I don't know. But I think people are reaching in a lot of different ways to try to, but we're not gonna get a senior to go to Pizza Mia for a sub and a soda and a bag of chips, that's just not gonna happen. But if we knew about that person, I would go and get the soda and the sub and the bag of chips
Mhm.
and bring it to them. And I'm sure, any of you would, and a lot of people would, as they're able to do that, if they're able to do that. So Karen, from, just, what would you like us to do? If you had your druthers, what could we do? What could we do to assist? And if you, in any way, shape or form with the food instability, insecurity for our older population, our population?
I mean, honestly, I thought what you guys were talking about, what you wanted to do at this meeting. I've got all the resources. We're pushing the resources. The governor's guidance is to push
Okay.
local, push local, push local. So from what we're doing, that's the brain power I have right now to be able to
Yeah,
do
I
all
get
of
it.
that
Okay.
to everybody. If you guys want to come up with a different way, I'm happy to try and help, but that's all the resources that I know. To keep
Yeah.
making sure we access that. I love the Mystic Valley idea, so I've already reached out to them, and then I will get that over to them, and I will ask Jen to update to make sure we can put that we're a donation spot. But other than that, I feel like we're doing what I have the capacity to do. If the board has a project they want to take up, then I'm happy to support. But to think of one right now, I can't think
Yeah,
of
that's,
something
Right.
other than what's already being done.
now this is, again, as I said earlier, this is not to put any more work on you and your staff, and right, we are putting more work right now on you and your staff. Could you just add the phone notification, perhaps? Can you check on that as well? Whether or not we could have a,
If they want to use emergency alert, I can
Yeah.
ask Jen. I can tell Jen it was a suggestion from the board to
Yeah,
send something out on
yeah.
emergency alert.
yeah. I think that's a good one too. I think, that we don't want to overuse that system, but I've gotten calls that are far from emergencies on that number, announcements of interest. Um,
And they might include all the resources or something on it. It wouldn't just be for seniors, they may
yeah,
use the phones to announce what they put out via email. I think the point is a good one, that there's a lot of people who don't have email.
right.
I mean, I'm not on social media, so I wouldn't have known about Lasagna Love, either as a recipient or a cook, because I'm not on Facebook or any social media. So,
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's a good idea if they could come up with a nice succinct thing to do. I know that I
Right.
receive emergency notifications from another town, and some of their messages are 5 to 6 minutes long, and I can tell you that I either tune out or hang up after about
Mhm.
30 seconds. So we have to find something just, short,
Also,
sweet, and to the
the
point.
library, a lot of people, because they're lonely also, will go to the library during the day. It's a
Mhm.
place to get, so if there isn't information already available at the library, the town needs to make sure it's very visible and available.
there's also a donation box at the library, right? So, for the food pantry, they have a box. I don't know if there's one in the front, there's one on that side entrance. And I don't know if there's one in the front, but that might be a good place as well to, at least have some notices posted, and then inside. And inside have a flyer or something that's available for people. But that's the library. So if anybody's in the library in the next few days or next week, notice if you can. If there's what's there for notification. Do you go to the children's library, Julie, in your spare time, of which you have none, I'm sure, but do you go to the children's library?
Yeah, we go to the basement of the Wakefield one. And I'm due for a trip, so if I get over there this weekend, I'll let you know.
Okay, yeah.
I'm hung up on this friends of COA though. Karen, have you ever found yourself wishing that our COA had a friends of? Because I feel like if we did, we could have just launched this right
Mhm.
here and gotten.
Oh, you guys couldn't be on the Friends. They're separate entities. The Friends is a 501c organization, and there's very strict rules about what can be done, like crossing between the two. Sometimes I wish yes, sometimes I'm happy no. So it really just depends. I
Yeah,
think they're a valuable thing. I actually just attended a legal training put on by Mass Council on Aging about um, all different legal kind of things, but they're going to put together a presentation on Friends, because there are a lot of, I'd have to
Good.
really brush up because they've never had one since I've been here, on what Friends are allowed to do, what they're not allowed to do. Some Friends organization, it just depends on the town.
Yeah, they have their own bylaws and everything, yeah. But they can, yeah,
I think they can be a wonderful resource. I
Yeah.
think that it's just making sure that it's,
they're not a thorn in your side,
Right.
candidly, yeah.
It sounds like the new town administrator was really a fan of the Friends in North Andover, and
Yes.
that they were instrumental in doing all kinds of things. So maybe we can the board can take that on as a project to get that launched.
Yeah, I'm very interested in that idea, Julie. It sounds like you are interested. But sorry, so here's a question which isn't directly related to the food discussion, but let's say, Karen, and there were some volunteers that even just from this group right now that was interested in seeing what the interest might be in starting a friends group. It wouldn't just be board members. We'd want to have a gathering of interest to see who might be interested in the senior center. Would you be okay with that?
There's a lot of
Obviously.
legal stuff, so I will send you the slides. I'm not prepared to answer that question right now
Okay,
because
okay.
it's not anything that I've had time to even
Yeah,
remotely
I
look
know.
at.
I understand. Yeah.
And there are definitely strict rules, so you definitely couldn't be on both. So I don't know. I'm happy to share the slide
Okay.
deck from Mass Council on Aging, and I would love to look at it in the
Okay.
future.
Yeah.
But right now, there's probably a little bit more pressing things that
Oh,
I know.
need to
I've
be
been having
done.
some conversations with ChatGPT about starting a friends group, but um, that's ChatGPT, but there's some good guidance in there too. But the
Yeah.
MCOA would be probably a much more reliable source.
Yeah, I think it's just finding, and there used to be one in Wakefield, so I don't know how long ago it was, and if it's possible to restart up the 501c from the Friends group. I believe it went away, though, when Judy was starting, when
Yeah,
the
that
youth
was a
center
long time
opened
ago.
and
Yeah.
the director retired. So it goes way back, so I don't know if it
Yeah.
would still be
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
books or not.
Okay. 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 Well, please keep thinking. And, I think if I know we're scheduled for a meeting next week and I would like to have that only because there's maybe some follow-up or coming back to this a little bit. I was thinking that maybe we didn't need to meet next week, but I'm going to ask us to meet next week because we may want to do some more with this I'll put it on the agenda. And do our regular business and then unless there's a reason, we won't have a December meeting because of, I know people's time is precious. And thank you for giving extra time tonight. Any other comments or ideas or thoughts or needs? And that anyone wants to bring up right now? You've made some great suggestions and some great thinking and some great energy, truly.
I have one, this is unfortunately a horrible reflection. I remember years ago, it used to be shameful to go and collect unemployment.
Right, I know.
And now it is not. And unfortunately, things like this become so normalized. It used to be shameful. And probably asking for food assistance is going the same way.
Yeah, yeah. You
And
think
that
it's going
was
to
very
become,
unfortunate, but that's the way the world works. I just couldn't help but thinking about that because I remember that I wanted to wear a bag over my head the first time I collected
Mhm.
unemployment. I was very embarrassed. And then subsequent years, like the early 90s when everybody ended up losing their jobs, it seemed
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it was no big deal because everybody was out there and it was all of these groups formed, job helper groups and job seeker groups, and nobody was sitting in their house and pretending that they were working when they weren't.
So
So
do you think asking for food is going the same direction where it won't be so shameful for people? Is that what you're saying?
I'm thinking it's going to get normalized, unfortunately, in the way our society is going. Unless there's
Oh, yeah.
another sea change shift back to the way people thought before the current administration, that we serve our people, we help them, we feed them, we care for them. Um, I don't, unless we become a kinder, gentler nation again in terms of how the country is run, I think it's going to be normalized after a while. The people, because so many people are going to need to get food like that they'll just go to pantries. I'm seeing so much of it on TV also, and people are not hiding their identities or their faces. They're talking to the news people. So
Mm,
it's already becoming normalized, unfortunately.
mm,
Harder for seniors because they're of a different generation, but it's becoming normalized.
mm. Well,
Anyway,
that's a somber,
that's a
but
somber note. And do you need
somber truth. Yeah, yeah,
do you need a motion to adjourn?
yeah, yes,
I
yeah.
make a motion to adjourn and at 7:21 p.m.
I second that.
All in favor? Rich,
Aye.
Julie,
Sherry, yes.
Jerry, Susan, yes, Carol, yes,
Yes.
did you say yes? Okay, thank you, yeah. Yeah, so. And Karen, we did end up asking you to do some more, but you'll let us know, or you can let us know next week what you get back from those requests that we've made.
Well, Mystic
Mystic-
Valley, I'll let you know. I mean, that's probably as much as I'll share, just that they're doing it or not doing it. And then maybe you'll all get a code red message tomorrow, because I've already sent all the stuff that we've talked about. That's why I was kind of multitasking.
Okay, perfect, thank you
The
so
best.
much.
But I'll let you know
Yeah.
at the meeting if that's okay, unless it's something more urgent that I feel the need to send an email. Otherwise, I'll be seeing you all in 7 days.
Okay, yeah. All right, thank you all, thanks, everybody.
everybody.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Susan.
Good night,
All
everyone.
right, good night, good night.
Night.